Hello, and welcome to the Quiet and Strong podcast, especially for introverts. I'm your host, David Hall, and the creator of quietandstrong.com. This is a weekly podcast dedicated to understanding the strengths and needs of introverts. Introversion is not something to fix, but to be embraced. Normally, we will air each episode on a Monday. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform. So, I hope all you fathers out there had a very great Father's Day. I know it's one of my favorite days. My family just treats me extra special, and it's amazing. I don't get as many arguments about the movie I might want to watch or the game I might want to play, so it's fun. I love my family. Celebrating Father's Day this year, I'm reflecting on the father that I am and the father I want to be. I'm also thinking of my dad, who passed away 3 years ago, and I miss him very much. My dad loved his kids, and there were a lot of us, and he loved his grandkids. I've lost track of how many grandkids he has. And he definitely had a way to make each grandchild think that they were his favorite. My dad was one of the hardest working people I know, and he worked very hard to provide for his large family. He was also a man of great faith and had a great desire to serve other people. His death was unexpected, and the day he died, he spent in serving others. I love you, Dad. I wish we could have that call today where we wish each other a happy Father's Day. You know, I was thinking about this in relation to the podcast. I'm not sure if my dad was an introvert. Reflecting back, he was a deep thinker and often did spend time in solitude. He was proud that I'd finished my first book, but he died soon after, and we didn't really get a chance to discuss it. And definitely when I was a kid, our personalities weren't discussed or even understood. Fortunately, a lot has changed since then. I feel very fortunate to be married to my best friend, who's a fellow introvert, who gets me. And together we have 3 amazing kids, all with their own unique gifts and abilities. But it's fascinating that 3 kids, even though we raised them the same, they're all very different. They have their own unique strengths and needs, desires. And understanding my own strengths and needs has been a long journey. Growing up, sometimes I thought something was wrong with me and didn't understand my introversion or how my own strengths and needs impacted the way I interacted with the world. One of my goals as a father is to help my kids have a clear understanding of themselves so they can get what they want out of life and be happy and have the success that they deserve. I like how Marty Olson-Laney puts it. She wrote, "The Hidden Gifts of the Introverted Child." She says, "Introverted children really are small wonders. Accept them as they are. By supporting their natural resources, you will allow their gifts to grow. Being an introvert and being self-assured are not mutually exclusive. Confident introverted children will forge adult lives of meaning, value, and creativity." End quote. My kids are not all introverts, and I think in this quote, extrovert could easily be substituted. The point is that whether your child is an introvert or extrovert, you can help nurture their gifts and help them gain confidence in who they are. You also show understanding and patience when needed, and that can be difficult when your child is different than you. And I'm careful not to use labels without discussion, as I believe that labels such as introversion or extroversion without understanding can be harmful. But it is helpful to talk about strengths and needs. I believe that helping our children discover what is unique and special about themselves and helping them develop those qualities is one of the greatest gifts you can give them. A few years back, I did have to laugh when my daughter, she was young, and she had been listening to my wife and I discuss my blog. So she said to her brother, "I'm an extrovert and I need people." And at that point, we had never told her that she was an extrovert, but it was true. And as introverted parents, we have to be aware of her social needs, even though they're different than our social needs sometimes. At the same time, we need to respect the need for alone time in our introverted children, but also encourage a balance in exploring and interacting with others. I am definitely not a perfect father, but I'm trying to help my kids have confidence in who they are and help them see the wonder of their unique gifts. As a parent, helping your children understand who they are and how they work best will go so much farther than trying to change their nature. When you work with your child's strengths instead of against them, you can help them become strong. So whether you're an introverted or extroverted parent or have introverted or extroverted kids, think of strengths and needs. I'll put a link to the article, Are You an Introvert or Extrovert? 6 Things to Consider, in the show notes. You may have used this already if you've listened to the podcast to think of your own needs, but you can also consider it for your child. So as you think of the different needs you might have, whether you're an introvert or extrovert, and apply it to your child, think, does my child need some space right now? Or do they need more conversation from me? How does my child like to communicate? Do they understand my communication preferences? Do they need a little small talk? Or do they like to dive into deep conversations? Do they ever need to think during conversations? Or do they know that you may need to have some time to think during conversations? Or you may need to have some time to think about something? Do they have some good friendships? And remember, it is normal for an introvert to have a smaller, tight-knit group of friends, and extroverts to have many friends. And with all of these things, there's not a good or bad, but understanding is needed. Where are my child's strengths? How can I nurture these? I like how Susan Cain, author of Quiet, puts it in an article she wrote. Don't just accept your child for who she is. Treasure her for who she is. Each child comes with gifts, and we should treasure them. Susan Cain goes on to say, we should figure out their passions and help them develop them. It's possible they may be different from the traditional childhood activities. As parents, we have so many opportunities to help our introverted or extroverted children gain understanding and learn what is wonderful about themselves. Again, I am no perfect father. I didn't come with the owner's manual to understand my self-awareness, and it's been a long journey for me. And my kids didn't come with the owner's manual either. I do love them very much, and I think as parents that is the most important thing, that we do our best. I hope they always know that I love them the way that I know that my dad and also my mom loved me. As Susan Cain said, treasure your child for who they are. And let's keep the conversation going for understanding for us and for our kids. I hope the fathers out there had a happy Father's Day. You're doing some great work. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to further connecting with you. Reach out at david@quietandstrong.com or check out the quietandstrong.com website. I'll add social media channels to the show notes. Please comment on the social media posts related to this podcast. Send me topics or guests you would like to see on the show. There's so many great things about being an introvert, and we need those to be understood. Get to know your introverted strengths and needs, and be strong.